We did?
Once, yeah.
Oh, you were at our house in
Yes.
Greenwich?
Yes.
With Michael Briggs.
And you said, Fendi. Anyway,
Only I didn't know it was, I didn't.
but you liked my pants, and I actually have them up in the dressing room.
Were they those?
No.
Oh, that's so
They're glittery, but I'll show you them.
Oh, okay.
in the dressing room.
Cool. All right.
Well, here they are in their with their hair. Here they are with their hair to punk. Now things had been very, very, very glittery and very sparkly for a little while, and all of a sudden punk comes on the scene. But everyone, I think, will agree that there was a little bit of a transition period. There was a group in New York called the New York Dolls, who really were, who really were the linchpins that kind of linked both. You had David Johansen, who had no problem putting on a dress and eye makeup and all kinds of glitter any day of the week, and David Joe still has no problem doing that. But then you spoke to me, girls, about Johnny Thunders. You said he was a darker, he was into the drug culture, and he began to look more of what would classically become the punk look. And you have his jacket. We have his jacket here today.
Yes, it's right over there, paired up with a dress that I made with bones, chicken bones. So, but Johnny Thunders had that jacket, and Snooki bartered with a friend of ours to get that jacket. And
Yeah.
He wanted my jacket that Robert Gordon had given me.
Yeah.
And Robert was so mad at me when I came home with a trade that wasn't.
But certainly he begins to move people more toward the classic punk look.
absolutely.
And it vividly details how the Alice Cooperative of 5 endearingly misfit adolescents put the Woodstock generation to rest. And I took that to mean the style of dressing of the Woodstock generation was sort of really never the same after you guys came on the scene. Headbands and caftans, no. Sparkly leotards, yes.
Right, from peace and love to Maseratis and switchblades.
Exactly. Well, since we're here today to talk about the history of rock and roll fashion, I want to start out with something that you and I have discussed, and I find this to be some of the most brilliant stuff I've ever heard of, and you also discuss it in the book, and that's the idea of mirrors and reflective clothing. You had an idea about reflection towards society, and you mentioned it started when you guys lived down in the Hollywood Hills.
Right, when we lived in Hollywood, we decided how could the audience not like us if we tell them that we're just trying to reflect society, which was glitzy Hollywood at the time.
Yeah.
So, and also the band started in art class. Alice was 15 and I was 16, and we decided to start a band that incorporated art, so that was part of it as well, visual.
Yeah, this is the ultra famous frog bass. Tell us about this picture of Richard Penniman, of Little Richard, and how this inspired you really to sort of go in the direction with mirrors and, and the basics.
This was at the Rock and Roll Revival in Toronto in 1969. And Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis and all kinds of amazing acts on the bill. And I had a chance to go out into the crowd and watch Little Richard perform. And he had that vest on, and you can't tell in this picture, but from the back of the crowd, the beams that were flashing off of that vest, I said, okay, that is another way to break down the barrier between stage and audience, because we felt that if we can incorporate the audience, which led to the balloons and all of that, if we can incorporate the audience into the act, how can they not like the act?
Exactly.
And so I glued the mirrors on the frog bass, and at one point in the show, the Super Trooper spotlight would hit the thing, and I'd go across the audience, and it'd be like a wave before there was such a thing as the wave.
Yeah.
And it also was just an additional accessory to the costumes.
That's right. Let's look at one of
Paul Brenton, who has the Bowie display back here, owns one of those original posters that was on display. But I saw that and I said, hey, Alice, you know, if you had makeup like that, people could see your expression from the back row. And he's like, I don't know. So anyway, that's where we got the idea.
What was his first comment to you? I just, where he said, well, maybe not for stage, but maybe for every day, but not for stage. Yeah, like maybe he'd get himself up like that for every day, but I don't know about the stage, you know? Let's go to the next shot. In fact, he does. And he gets himself up almost exactly. And here he is again, Cindy, with one of the mirrored leotards, right, that he's wearing. Stage of rock and roll.
Right. Yeah.
And this is what I want to say today on behalf of everyone that's in this.
Thank you,
Thank you, Christine.
that guys wouldn't want to wear makeup or sparkles or whatever. And that part of it just